So now that I've gone on over the STC, I can summarize the curses in Genesis. And the reason I couldn't do that before is because part of what's going on with the curses in Genesis is this theology of broken relationships. Um, you can't understand that without the STC. Um, Once you understand the STC, you understand that these broken relationships mean that creation is dying. Just like if the relationship between the excuse me if you heard that, the human being is severed, if the body is separated from the spirit in the self, or the spirit is separated from the self in the body, or the self is separated from the spirit in the body, the human being dies. Every single part dies. Okay. So once you understand the STC, you understand these separations indicate dying. So man, the curse with Adam, the separation between human beings and creation itself, that's a death. The curse with the woman and the serpent, the separation between the woman and the man, the male and the female, that's dying. That's the separation between human beings and the spirits, that's dying. And then of course the separation between human beings and Yahweh, that's dying. Now, ultimately, this is the separation between the immaterial and the material. Okay? So this is dying. So when the Bible talks about sin introduced death into the world, this theological language of death is not really referring to something that's biological. It's really talking about this reversion to Tehom that is necessary when you are separated from life, Yahweh. Okay? That's why death is always evil in the Bible, but dying is not. Paul, for example, talks about uh, don't be worried about him dying, because the seed has to die in order to become the harvest. That's biological. You see what I'm saying? So it don't matter if we sinned or not. In order for If Adam accepted the tree of life, he would have had to die to become the harvest of, you know, perishable clothes, clothed with imperishable, new creation, all that different stuff. So the reason why the Satan deceived the man and the woman into instituting this state of creation, this reversion to Tehom, okay, where we're existing in what Genesis refers to in the beginning as tohu vabohu. Okay, tohu vabohu is because um, it allows him to become the 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 king of creation. Like the Bible says, the world belongs to him. Okay, and because as you see in the Old Testament, and then also in the parables of Yeshua, when Yahweh gives the rights to a people over something and they don't do what they're supposed to do, since the servant has not taken care of the master's land, he's going to fire them and give the land over to new servants. So once the Satan deceived Adam into rejecting Yahweh, causing this separation between life and and creation. Therefore, we entering this state of tohu vabohu, we forfeited the rights. Therefore, the Satan could come to Yahweh, petition to Yahweh for the rights, and then Yahweh gave the rights over to him. And so there's this arrogance on the part of the Satan of trying to prove that he can do better, not just better than Adam, but then also better than Yahweh. uh Hold up, I'm a bit of a brain fart. The arrogance of the Satan to believe that he can do better, not just than Adam, but also better than Yahweh. Okay, so this is where the Nephilim enter. Oh, by the way, the occult get this whole pattern of throwing things into chaos in order to take control and promise a new order. That all comes from the Satan. That's what's happening here in Genesis. So this tohu vabohu state that the Satan gains the rights to rule over, in order for him to properly institute order as the replacement for Adam, but also for Yahweh, he has to establish a counterfeit human race. And this is where the Nephilim come in. Now, talking about the nature of the Nephilim, I don't believe, even though I do believe that the Nephilim are born of the union of the sons of God and daughters of man, I don't believe that this is describing sexual intercourse or mating. And what helps me understand this is the hypostatic union when Yahweh incarnated. We say that the divine nature and the human nature were unified. So there's echad flesh, they're unified. A workable way to think about this is bonding, like chemical bonding. Two hydrogens, the hydrogen dioxide, two oxygens, one hydrogen bond together, boom, you get water. These two things, uh, it now that comparison is limited because you got two gases, boom, they become a liquid. But when we say that the two natures have come together, we say they don't mix, they don't confuse, so they don't mix together and become something else. They also don't overwhelm one another. The only reason why that's the case is because Yahweh is Yahweh. The immaterial is not in competition with the material. If it was, then there would be you couldn't have a material, because the immaterial is in everything. Like I talked about mathematics and numbers. So you couldn't even have a material in that case. But for created things, if they mix the natures of two different things, the material things have to collide. They have to compete. So this is what a Nephilim is. It's this confused nature that is neither human nor spirit. It's something else, or you would say human or angel. It's something else. It's something new. Okay. So the Satan created these, well, not created, but gave birth to these beings as an attempt to have his counterfeit human race that's ruling over creation as the kings and the queens of creation. And this is part of his deceit, because if we are holding something else up as the kings and queens of creation, we never take that role. And our consent is necessary for the possession. So the problem, however, is that the Nephilim don't bring things into order. They put them all the way further and further into Tohu Vabohu. And then you get the Deluge event. And the Deluge event is a reset so that Yahweh begins creation again. The Satan has failed. Man has failed. Yahweh is now going to go about this plan of himself showing that he is the only true king.